Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, Professor of Physics at Luther College, bringing you the next of our What to Look For in the Night Sky series. We're talking about January 16th, 2023 this time. And lucky you, we've got something completely different for you this time. We've been doing this almost 2.5 years, and this is something we've never tried before. Try to keep things interesting, mostly for me. I assume there's nothing I can do to keep these things interesting for you. But we're going to... Instead of, what we like to do is we like to pick something that's going to happen, or two things that's going to happen in the week ahead, or something we can look at, well placed to observe in the week ahead. Kind of dig in and think about the physics and the astronomy about that thing maybe, and talk about it a little bit. Instead, this time I'm going to make an observing suggestion for you each night of the week for the week ahead. So we got a lot of stuff we're going to plow through quickly, so much so that for the first time since we've been doing this, I have to have a sheet of notes for myself to remind myself what we're going to talk about here. For each of these nights. Now, for the things that aren't moving, for the things like that aren't the moon or Venus or Saturn or something like that, you can watch these on any night. I'm just picking a night to suggest for you, so we have something for each night. So we're going to start with the Orion Nebula, and the Orion Nebula is great, and will be great for the next couple of months. And so you don't have to do that on Monday night, but that's what we're going to talk about on Monday night into Tuesday morning, the 16th and 17th. The Orion Nebula is high in the sky as it gets dark. So this is something that's good to observe from right after dark up until midnight, or a little bit after midnight. It will set before sunrise now. So the Orion Nebula looks like this. You've got the three stars in the belt of Orion, right? And down below the lower star in the belt of Orion, you can see this fuzzy patch with your eye. You can see it with a pair of binoculars. That's our Orion Nebula. That is a star birth region. So go out and find that, find the belt stars in Orion, and take your binoculars and take a look at it and see if you can find the sword of Orion to find this great Orion Nebula, this star birth region. If you have a small telescope, in my opinion, there is no object that is more impressive than a small telescope. No deep sky object anyway. That you can see this. You can see the sort of three-dimensional nature of it. It looks like fingers wrapping around to me, right? Where we see this. And so this is a fantastic thing. Again, when it gets dark, the Orion Nebula is already going to be high in the sky, and we'll be transiting, going across that north-south line and setting by 3 or 4 in the morning. And so it's a good object for basically all night long. But evening sky to shortly after midnight is the best time to see that. Now the next night, Tuesday into Wednesday, the 17th and the 18th, the moon is about 16% full. So we have about a 16% full moon, and it's going to be sitting next to the beautiful orange star Antares in Scorpius. So we've got the moon right here, and it's only about 2 degrees. Remember, your fist held out at arm's length is about 10 degrees. And so this is a very nice close pairing of a slender crescent moon. This is a beautiful pairing. This is a waning crescent moon, so it is setting. So this is a pre-dawn object to look at. Something like 5 o'clock in the morning is going to be a good time to go out and see it. 5:30 or 5:45 is even going to be a better time to go out and see this object, to be able to see it clear of the eastern horizon as it's rising. I may have said setting a second ago, but the star is rising. It's disappearing. It's settling toward the horizon each night is what I mean by that. And so it's rising into the morning sky. A couple of degrees separates these two objects. Beautiful crescent moon in Antares. Now, Antares is in Scorpius. Scorpius is very much a summer constellation. We see Scorpius well placed in late summer. It's a beautiful August constellation to go out and check out in the general direction of the center of our galaxy, which lies on the Sagittarius-Scorpius border. And so this is a reminder. We've talked about this many times in these videos. This is a reminder of how much sky we can see in one night, especially one dark winter night like this as we rotate. So as we rotate around, we see new things coming into view, and we're starting to see the stars of summer there with the moon next to Antares in Scorpius. And so that's what we have right there on this night. Now, the next night, you can go outside and you can look at the 18th into the 19th, Wednesday into Thursday. The moon will have moved even further east and will be much harder to look at. And I'm going to recommend trying this more like 6:30 or even 6:45, depending on when it's getting light where you are, because you're going to lose this in the daylight. but the moon will have thinned out to 7.5% full. This is about the thinnest crescent moon you'll be able to see. So you want to have a really good eastern horizon. You want to see this thing coming up before the sun and clearing before the sun gets too big and bright and washes it out completely so you can't see it. We've talked about this before, trying to find very old or very new moons. And this is a very old, very young or very old moon. This is a very old moon that's headed toward the new moon right now, and hard to see in the morning sky. A pair of binoculars is probably your friend here to try to find this, but you might be able to see it. I know people who have. You might be able to see it with your naked eye at 7 or 8% full like this. Your timing's got to be just right, and you've got to have a good eastern horizon. So go out on the morning of Thursday morning, the 19th, and give that a try. Next night, our observing suggestion for Thursday night into Friday morning is going to be Jupiter. Now, this is a Thursday night thing, not a Friday morning thing, because Jupiter, by the time it gets dark, Jupiter's already past the north-south line, the meridian line, and headed towards setting on the western horizon, and will set. It'll be gone by midnight or so. So you want to be out there and check this out at right after dark. Go out right after dark on the evening of the 19th, Thursday, and look for Jupiter below the Great Square of Pegasus. So if this is the Great Square of Pegasus, all of this is obviously not to scale, because this is a huge square compared to that. It's a big, huge square in the sky. Below the Great Square of Pegasus, you'll find the circlet of Pisces, and I'll see if I can draw this well. So down in here, and we'll blow this part up, you're going to get the circlet of Pisces that looks like this, okay? These are all fourth magnitude stars, so they're pretty faint stars in Pisces. And Pisces stretches back this direction with a star, and then you're going to have a pretty big break back this direction to Zeta Piscium is this star, and Jupiter is going to be sitting right here. Now all of this is just below the Great Square of Pegasus in here that I've blown up down here. But if you can find the circlet, well, basically you look to the Great Square of Pegasus, and Jupiter's going to be by far the brightest object you see in that region of the sky. So go find Jupiter, the brightest object, and use Jupiter to find the circlet of Pisces here as you look below the Great Square of Pegasus. Step back this distance to Delta, and then a smaller distance to Epsilon, and then a small distance here to Zeta. And so Zeta is a nice, easy double star if you've got a small telescope. Get your small telescope out. The separation of the two main stars is 23 arc seconds. That's really easy to separate in just about any telescope you got. So if you're new to double star observing and you want to get out there and give it a try, this is a great star to start with because it's a pretty easy split. Now, the fainter star has a companion, and there are other companions in there, so I think this is actually a quintuple system. So this is a multiple star system. But I'm recommending going out, finding Jupiter, use your small telescope to look for the moons of Jupiter, and enjoy to look to see if you can see the bands on the surface of Jupiter, and then take your small telescope and find these stars in a line and see if you can identify Zeta Piscium. Now, this Pisces comes on down this direction with a few more stars. All of these fourth magnitude stars, not super easy to see till you get down here to Alpha, the brightest star in the system. Zeta's that's about 13 degrees right there. If you want to go look for it from the other direction, if you can identify Alpha, you got about 13 degrees separating that out that direction. So Pisces looks like that, stretching out there. Okay, so there you go. That's my recommendation for you for Thursday night into Friday. This could be any night in the coming weeks. Jupiter's got the region of the sky setting, so you don't want to wait too long to see this, but it doesn't even have to be this week. It could be next week or the week after. After this, we've got a galaxy trio in Leo. We've had a couple of nights here. We had a night here where we were looking at, we had a couple early mornings. We've got an all-night thing. We've got Jupiter, which is an evening sky object. Now we've got something that's a sort of after midnight object. This region of the sky rises, so this is the recommendation for the 20th into the 21st, Friday into Saturday. Again, this one is good to go for the rest of spring. You can do this anytime in the coming months. But in Leo, so if we look at Leo out this direction, Leo's got this triangle tail and the backwards sickle backwards question mark, the sickle shape here that we've looked at before. And so this is our Leo. Now if you draw this down in here, if we look at the triangle tail, Dana Bola is this star, tail of the line. And we want to look right in this region here. You've got M65, M66, and NGC 3628, a fine trio of galaxies. And if you have a nice wide piece, a wide angle eyepiece, low power eyepiece for your telescope, you can get all three of these in the same field of view. Sometimes you'll just get two of these and you have to scroll up just a little bit to get NGC 3628. You can go to our website, www.luther.edu/astronomy, and find pictures of this region of the sky, of these galaxies. Beautiful galaxies, part of the Virgo cluster of galaxies. It's going to be a fine thing for us to observe all spring, but this is a good way to get a start. So if you're new to galaxy observing, this is a good place to start your galaxy observing journey, your odyssey at galaxy observing. So you want to slide down. I think I wrote, I didn't write what that distance was right there, but that's about to scale down in here where you can find M65, M66, and NGC 3628. So you can see this near the tail of Leo down here. And so this is great. Again, it rises probably 10:30 or 11, this region of the sky local time. It's not going to be clear of the horizon well enough to see it until midnight or after midnight. Best time to see this is probably 1 or 2 in the morning. So if you're out 1 or 2 in the morning and observing, this is a great thing for you to check out. Now, Saturday into Sunday, the 21st into the 22nd in the week, try not to miss Venus and Saturn. This is great. Saturn is setting and disappearing with the sun. So Saturn, we're starting to lose Saturn to the growing daylight, evening daylight here. But Venus is climbing into the evening sky, and Venus is going to catch and pass Saturn this night. On this night, the two of them will be less than 1/4 of a degree apart. So these two bright planets are going to be right on top of each other. Venus is, of course, the brighter of the two. It will be the easier to see in the glow of the evening sun. So you got to do this right at sunset. So go out right at sunset and look for Venus in the glow of sunset. As the sun has set and you've got the orange glow disappearing, see if you can pull Venus out of there. And if you can, use your binoculars to grab Saturn right there next to it. You might be able to see it without the aid of your binoculars, but the binoculars are going to help. And so you've got a beautiful pairing of two really bright planets, but really close to the sun here on that Saturday night, the 21st. So go out Saturday night, the 21st, and definitely not into the morning of the 22nd. You've only got a very short window after sunset to see this. So you want to be right out there as the sun's going down to check this out. We got a full slate of stuff to observe. My hope for you is that you have clear skies at some point during the week ahead to check out some of this. And go ahead and write me a comment on the video and let me know what you've had a chance to see. Which of these things was most impressive to you. And I'd love to hear about it. As always, everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll have something new for you next week.